Welcome back everybody to How Fast Will It Go, and today we're dealing with the 2020 Lotus Evija Forza Edition. So this now has 2,198 horsepower, 1,253 pounds-feet of torque from its 4 electric motors, and it now weighs 2,280 pounds. Unlike the standard car though, it is only rear-wheel drive, but it can now do 0 to 60 in 1.734 seconds, 0 to 100 in 2.949 seconds. So yeah, stupidly quick in terms of acceleration, and it does have more power than the standard version. It has 225 extra horsepower, although it does have the same torque, but it also weighs considerably less, weighing in at 1,424 pounds less in fact. So yeah, more power, less weight than the standard version, but does have some disadvantages. Obviously it is only rear wheel drive. This was originally supposed to be a drift car, so even though I have put race suspension on it and slick tyres and such, it still has the tendency to slide out, so that could very well hinder us on this series. And obviously it does have that rear wing on it as well, so even though I have reduced the amount of downforce that it produces, it still is there at the end of the day. So yeah, but the standard car in the previous game managed a very impressive 280 miles an hour. But since most of the, well, all of the Forza Edition cars that we've had on this series so far have comfortably cracked 290, I am expecting this to be roughly be able to do the same as that. But then again, it does depend on whether or not it can actually stay in a straight line or not. So yeah, but let's get out there and see what it can do. So it will probably snap at some point in terms of the oversteer. But the minimal amount of downforce that the rear wing does generate, even though I've turned it down, will help keep it in check, I hope. So there is 200 already, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260. I think we've got about 264 there. It's very impressive. Certainly is one of those electric cars where it just the higher revs or whatever it gets to, the quicker it gains speed. That's 284. So we're already quicker than the standard version in the prior game, which we won't be revisiting in this game because you can't get any more than the 280 we got in Forza Horizon 5, so no point in revisiting that. In fact, there are a few cars on this game now that are actually slower than the versions in the previous game due to engine swap changes and such. There is 285, so I got a little bit faster there. For instance, the Toyota Super RZ from the 90s is slower on this game than the previous one, probably because you can't get the 1599 horsepower engine in that anymore. But nonetheless, there is 290, 292. Oh, I came into contact with a G-Wagon there. 293. Yeah, looks like 293 is all we're going to get. I say all, but that is still obviously 13 mile an hour quicker than the standard car in the previous game. So yeah, that is mightily impressive, quite frankly. Yeah, handled it far better than I was expecting it to. I was expecting it to be constantly trying to snap oversteer and such, given its you know, drift car tune that it has. Even though obviously, like I said, I put race suspension on it, it still does like to snap every now and then. So yeah, 293 mile an hour makes this the second fastest Forza Edition car and the third fastest overall, with only the Mazda MX-5 Forza Edition going faster by 2 mile an hour, and then the Koenigsegg Gemera still at the top of the leaderboard by 7 miles an hour over this. But yeah, 1 mile an hour quicker than the Porsche 917 and Ruling Sunshine S Forza Editions, and also 6 mile an hour quicker than the Honda Beat, which we now knocked out of the top 5. And we also knocked the Toyota GR Supra out of the top 10. So yeah, overall very impressive. A little bit unnerving at times, given I know that it can obviously snap oversteer with it being a drift car. But yeah, surprisingly enough, we didn't have much issue in that regard. So yeah, does go to show that even though it can be you know, you can have vehicles on here that are drift cars, if you you know, slightly change it here and there, you can somewhat tame it and therefore get a huge amount of speed out of them as well. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.